Real quick, I just want to let you know that there's going to be some glitches within this podcast episode. Switched over the microphones and the calibrations were off. So there's going to be some glitches in the beginning and towards the end. Um, but because oftentimes these are done with one take and the the feels of everything that's going on can't be replicated. I just want to give that disclaimer because I'm not going to be able to recapture this moment of what I had and, do the podcast all over again because it won't feel the same. But just want to let you know that ahead of time before you click it and, you hear it and then, you know, you see what I'm talking about. But with that said, it's not going to take away from the grand scheme of what this episode represents. So hope you enjoy and let's get into it.
All right, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of the Just Seen podcast. Today, by request, I'm going to be going over a topic called shadow work. Hence the title, shadow work, making angels of your demons. This is a topic that I think a lot of people really want to see and deal with, but they don't really want to deal with. And I say that on the strength that, like, when it comes to quote unquote shadow work, right? For one, a lot of people, they feel like it's demonic and shit. Like, nah, I'm not even on that type time. When I'm talking about shadow work, I'm talking about, that's why the title says, making angels of your demons, because I'm on a time where it's like we need to understand the full gamut of our duality, not only our duality, but our singularity, which the duality ultimately comes from being both positive and negative, both high and low, the different poles of who we are. You feel what I'm saying? So I wanted to be on the strength that if we are truly mastering ourselves and we are coming to terms with ourselves, everything can't be good vibes only. Everything can be positive vibes only. You gotta, deal with that darkness. You gotta deal with that shadow side of yourself. You gotta, and in essence, a lot of times the shadow side is who we really are. It's who we've suppressed. It's who we've damaged, and who we've allowed to remain dormant for so long that now that we're in our older ages and we're kind of getting older and we're starting to see more about life, and we realize, I need my shadow side. Not only that, I need to heal my shadow side in order to make myself better. I was in a jam session one time, and I said the lines. I said, I had to mutilate the angels just to desecrate the demons. I started seeing they were interfering with the image in the mirror. I got the picture, gained triple 20s, got the vision clearer, 3 eyes, tricloptic. But the purpose in that was that there's a balance and there's a harmony. You feel what I'm saying? There's a certain connection that has to be made with who you really are when you acknowledge your shadow side. When you go in, you do your shadow work, and you go in and you truly understand that deeper essence of yourself. So that's what we'll be going in today. And we'll pretty much peel back the layers, as best as possible, because I really feel like this is something that we all need to deal with and stop running from, because so many people suppress our shadow side when in essence, a lot of times it's going to be our shadow side that liberates us. But until we truly understand that shadow side, until we truly understand what it represents and not look at it from a demonic state and not look at it from a negative polarity that is going to, manifest itself negatively, we'll continue to be, living quote unquote a lie. You feel what I'm saying? So it's time to face that and pretty much, as I said, make angels of your demons. But before we go deeper into it, as always, be sure to follow me on Instagram at underscore just seen is at underscore just underscore seen underscore. Also follow me on Twitter at underscore just underscore seen underscore. I don't know why I'm forgetting my name and shit. Follow the Justine podcast at the Justine podcast to get the releases when they come out. Be sure to follow my plant-based page at the 90-day vegan course. And be sure to get the book Hitting It Raw, Living a Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life. Also, be sure to get my book So Frail, A Reality to Black Male Masculinity, and So Frail to Toxic Femininity. Everything is in the links in the description of your podcast, so you can always check it out and you can find me there. Lastly, also coming real soon, I'll be releasing my my day trading and investing course called Mastering the Market, a Forex Trading Guide. That'll be coming real soon. You'll be seeing more about that if you follow me on any of my platforms. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to dive into shadow work, making angels of your demons.
Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the Sofrel series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com.
All right, welcome back. All right, so shadow work. All right, let's peel back the layers and get into what shadow work really is. You feel what I'm saying? All right, so shadow work is basically our inner healing. You dig what I'm saying? Shadow work is uncovering the things that we suppress and lay dormant for so long. The things that we've pretty much, the things that we've made our realities. You feel what I'm saying? And they're necessarily not our realities, but they have come into the perspective of us, you know what I mean, internalizing them accordingly. And we dictate our lives like that. We make our lives operate under our shadow side, low key, but we have not healed that shadow side. So the things that trigger us, the things that upset us, the things that pretty much are able to control and manipulate us, those are the things that that our shadow side needs to be healed from. Those are the things that our shadow side needs to be that it has to be dealt with. You feel what I'm saying? So when we consider our ego, you know, when we consider childhood traumas, when we consider adulthood traumas, you know, just different problems that we faced in life, different things that we've gone through, different things that we went through, we kind of just fall into it. You know, we kind of fall into it. And that's why shadow work is important, because it's your inner healing. It's going in, peeling back the layers and deciding, all right, look, man, I can't deal with this shit no more. Like, this shit got to stop. Like, I need to change my perspective. I need to change my polarity. I need to change my way of thinking. I need to change the things that have suppressed who I truly am. You feel what I'm saying? Now, shadow work is not always negative. You feel what I'm saying? Shadow work is not always negative. Don't get me wrong. There are things that we have done as, you know, things that have been suppressed by societal standards within us, like our creativity, our inner essence, our truest essence, has been suppressed because society has set a standard that is like, all right, look, you need to be like this. And if you're not like this, then this is going to happen. Or, you know, you have to fit a certain mold and you have to stay in that vein. That shit's crazy as fuck and it don't make no sense. Because if we acknowledge that we're all from a creator that, you know, made us or whatnot, and they made us individuals, be within this world. So everything that we go through should not be a shadow. It should not be a dark side to us. You feel what I'm saying? But that dark side is where our balance truly comes in. You feel what I'm saying? It's where our truest harmony comes in. You know, from like, people look at light and they're, you know, everybody wants to be love and light. I get it. Love and light is cool. It's dope. Like, you feel me? But it ain't peaches and cream. Let's get that shit down packed to understand that. Love and light is cool and it's good to embody, but it ain't peaches and cream. It ain't cookies and milk. It ain't the shit that, you know, is always good vibes only. No, fuck that. No, your entire being is a balance, right? In order for light to be its strongest, it needs darkness around it. You feel what I'm saying? Without darkness, there is no light. So it's like, when we look at wanting to be light, when we look at wanting to be the light beings and the light vessels and shit, like, first, let me say this, right? Everybody ain't built for this shit. Everybody isn't a light bringer, right? Everybody isn't a light bringer. And here's why I say that shit. Because The brighter your light shines, the more darkness you've gone through. You feel me? The brighter your light shines, the more darkness you've gone through. And people want to be on that. I just want to be love and light. And then get mad and upset and it's like, yo, why do my life keep... Stop asking for shit you don't really want, bruh. Like, it's not funny. But it's like, you know, when you want to be that light bringer, when you want to be that person who's gonna, you know, quote unquote, change the world, who's gonna be the spark that, you know, you're gonna go through some shit. You're gonna go through some challenges. You're gonna go through some tribulations. Why? Because light cannot shine without darkness. You feel what I'm saying? Therefore, the darkness has to move and be faster than what light really is. In a sense, darkness has to consume and the light has to shine from within. And then it has to radiate out to illuminate the darkness, to alleviate the darkness. You feel what I'm saying? So that's where it comes into dealing with your inner being. You feel what I'm saying? It's levels to the shit. It's deeper than just, oh, I'm going to forget about this circumstance. I'm going to forget about this situation because it happened. I'm going to, you know, try to like, nah, you got to heal, bro, sis, all y'all. You know what I mean? You got to heal from these things because if you don't heal from them, all that's going to happen is they're going to resurface. And it's going to happen again and again and again. As, what's the motherfucker, Newton? As he claims that, you know, he said his law is that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's simply transferred from one medium to the next, right? That's a real statement. Energy isn't destroyed. It's literally transferred, right? So how are you transferring your energy? You know, what is the transference in the energy fields that you're operating from? How are you actively moving this energy and manipulating it according to how you are supposed to move within this world? You feel what I'm saying? And that is the problematic piece because too many times we don't want to see where our light, we don't want to see how bright our light is. We want our little light to shine. This little light of mine. You feel me? We want that motherfucker to shine. But we don't want to be in darkness. We're afraid of the dark. Like that is it's as cliche as it is when you look at horror movies, when you look at, you know, all this other shit. You're like, yo, are you afraid of the dark? Be afraid of like, that is a subconscious thing. That is a deeper reality, esoteric reality to be afraid of the dark, excuse me. You feel me? That is some esoteric shit to be afraid of the dark. Like, you feel what I'm saying? How bright can your light really shine if you never go through the darkness? You feel what I'm saying? You never know what you got to turn up. You never know how you got to turn your light up and you got to maneuver according to the way the universe is working because you're afraid of what you're going to see, you know? And to be afraid of the darkness is also to be afraid of healing because healing hurts. Healing is painful. Healing ain't beautiful, yo. It's not like, you know, we don't want to embody our scars. Sometimes we don't even want our wounds to become scars. You feel what I'm saying? We don't want our wounds to become scars. And in that, what I mean is that, you know, we rather just keep a pretty ass Band-Aid on it. Pick at it from time to time and let it, you know what I'm saying? So we can, oh, I'm still bleeding. I'm still bleeding. Like, fuck. Why do we want to continue to bleed? Bleeding ain't good. You feel what I'm saying? We need to, after the wound, you need to turn, like, wounds got to scab up and then they got to turn to scars. See, the person that heals and they turn their wounds into scars, they're the people with the lights. They're the people with the lights because they've gone through the darkness. Is we got to be able to take the skeletons in our closet and put them bitches in the cemetery, bro. It ain't always easy. It ain't always easy because, you know what I'm saying? It's a haunted house. The more skeletons you pile up into your closet, the more that closet turns into a haunted house. You feel me? There's nothing pretty about the skeletons in our closet, but you gotta lay them to rest. You feel me? The fact that they're skeletons mean they're already dead. There's no more viability in the shit that we storing. Let that like really think about that shit. There's no more viability in the shit that we storing, but we're keeping it. We're storing it. For what? For what? You know, for some of us, it's, you know what I mean, it keeps me on my P's and Q's. You know what I mean? It puts up my wall. It makes me, you know, more, like, it doesn't make you more on point with people. It makes you fearful. It makes you fearful. Like, you know what I mean? We talk about trust issues and shit. We talk about all of these other things, and it's like, you're fearful. At the end of the day, you're fearful. And I don't not being fearful. I don't not being fearful. I prefer to be fearless, but I don't not being fearful on the strength that, fear is an indicator that, something happened to you and you have to face it to get over. Like, fear is an indicator. If you don't feel fear from a lot of the shit that you've gone through, then it's like, it's never going to get to the point where it teaches you anything, right? It's in facing the fear. Cause see, fear is not to be fearful and scared of some shit. It ain't really the same thing, but fear is an eternal thing. And fear in essence and its reality is the lack of understanding. Fear and ignorance are almost the same shit, but fear is when you avoid something because you don't understand it and you refuse to understand it and you can't understand it. It's not in your capacity to comprehend and understand. That's fear. You feel what I'm saying? We fear our shadows, but it's like, the shadow has a point in which that's honestly, in essence, a lot of times who we are. Our shadow side emerges when we're by ourselves. Our shadow sides emerge when we're alone, when nobody's around, when there's nothing around us. That's when we have our breakdown moments. That's when we can't be distracted from the shit. So why not make peace with the motherfucker? You feel me? Why not make peace with the motherfucker? I seen this quote about wolves and shit. It was like, it was a Cherokee quote. The bull said, there's a battle between two wolves, a good wolf and a bad wolf, basically. It's like, and one is anger, rage, resent, like one is the negative emotions, one is the positive, right? So the kid asked the elder, like, okay, so which one wins? He said, the one that you feed, right? But see, that's the thing, you can't feed one. You can't feed one. It's your darkness that makes your light shine. You feel what I'm saying? I flipped it a little bit. I was like, yo, you got to feed both them motherfuckers and teach them to feast on your enemies. Real shit. That's how it is. And a part of your enemies is yourself. Your shadow side. You feel what I'm saying? Your motherfucking shadow side. Like, our ancestors, they left the story of Heru and shit. I fucks with it. I fucks with it 100%. But I think we need to really understand the metaphorical and the esoterical and the metaphysical aspect of the story of Heru. You feel me? Heru, his dad, Heru, Asar, Aset, and Set. You feel what I'm saying? Like, to be set in your ways is some dope shit, because when you study Set and you know that Set is the ego, it's like, oh shit, you really are set in your ways, bro. That's the ego kicking in. But see, the ego is not bad, but the ego is connected to our shadow side. And it's in mastering that shit that things happen. So the story of Heru, Asar, Aset, and Set is that Set kills Asar, scatters his body across the world or whatnot, right? Aset comes and she finds the pieces and puts Asar back together. She doesn't find his phallus or whatnot, but which is the life force, his creative energy. She doesn't find that point, but she finds everything else. Okay, and when she finds everything else, she brings them back to life. All right. The story is that as it goes, Heru is supposed to fight Set in the final battle, whatever the case may be. But what gets deeper than that is that Heru never kills Set. Heru never kills Set. He works with Set, right? So when we look at the metaphors of them and what the esoteric principles are, you have Asar representing the soul, Aset representing wisdom, Set representing ego, and Heru representing you, the person, your ass. You feel me? That's what Heru represents, right? So when we get down to the nitty gritty of it all, what it represents is that your ego is going to kill your soul. It's going to destroy your soul and scatter that bitch across the world. That's what your ego is going to do. But it's going to take your wisdom to find your soul and put it back together. And then yourself, you, Heru, you have to go fight your ego. But you have to master your ego. You have to figure out, how are you able to fucking destroy me? How are you able to destroy my soul? You feel what I'm saying? That's why Asar and Aset, they're the parents, because the soul and wisdom, when it comes together, you create the being. Our duality in essence is our soul and our wisdom, but that's not here or there. I'm not gonna get too deep into that. I'm talking about the shadow work. So Heru has to go and fight Set, right? But as the story unfolds, by the end of the story, what happens is Set and Heru, they're both tying tying reed plants together, working together, right? You got to work with your ego. You know, your ego is not bad. You never kill it. Everybody wants to kill that motherfucker. Yo, kill the ego. Kill the ego. Your ego's too strong. Nah, don't kill that motherfucker. You got to tame it. Make it healthy. How do you do that, though? You got to do your shadow work. You got to do your shadow work. Shadow work starts with the self. You feel me? You're not going to do no motherfucking shadow work. I don't care who you are, how much you try to isolate, how much you try to put it in sugar-coated terms about how you can go to this guru, you can go to that, you can go to whoever, you can read whatever fucking book you want, go to whoever guru you want, do all of the shit that you think is going to work. But if you're not spending time with your motherfucking self, if you're not in that solitude of yourself to only sit with your shit, your shadow you ain't gonna heal your shadow. You're not gonna do no shadow work. You feel what I'm saying? This is why, as funny as it is, because you know motherfuckers come out, and it'd be funny when they come out, they be like, because you know the restitution for the institutionalization found in the penitentiary with the colonialization of that, you feel me? It was a joke when it was funny, but a lot of dudes, when they come out of prison, they're reformed off the strength that they had solitary confinement. You feel what I'm saying? Perfect example is, you got to watch the movie. It's the Malcolm X movie by Spike Lee, right? There's a point in there where Malcolm doesn't know his fucking prison number. So they throw him in a hole. You feel what I'm saying? He spends time by himself in the darkness. Now this is metaphorical, metaphysical, esoteric, and reality all at the same time. But Malcolm X, after he left that, he came out a different man. Now they said he, you know, when he started studying the Quran and everything, that's irrelevant. It's not irrelevant because it did help change him. But the point that I'm making is that in that solitude, in the moment of himself, that's when he was able to shine his light. You feel me? In order for me to emerge my light, I need to sit still with the darkness around me and realize how to turn my light up, how to turn my light on. So there's certain things that you got to really go through. So I got, you know, previously I got episodes on chakras. You feel what I'm saying? I know it's like I keep going back to this because all of this shit goes together. Yo, you can't do shadow work without understanding and healing your chakras. You feel what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, I've gone through all 7 of mine. You feel me? I've gone through all 7 of mine. I'm not gonna be one of those who said I haven't. But it's still an ongoing process because new things surface. But at the end of the day, it's like I've gone through all 7. So people think that when you come out of this shit on the other side and the shit, you're supposed to be some enlightened, glowing, shiny motherfucker. Nah, yo, you just learn balance, a lot more balance. And you learn that you master that shit. Like, you feel me? My biggest fuck up was that I ran from my past. I ran from my shadow. Think about how that really plays out. How the fuck can you run from your shadow? Go outside, stand in the sun, and let your shadow shine and run from it. That's insanity. You can't get away from it. It wasn't until I embraced my shadow and said, you know what? This is who I am. This isn't, regardless of the decisions, regardless of the fuck ups, regardless of what happened, this is an extension of me. This is me. In those moments, I wasn't wrong. In those moments, I wasn't embarrassed. Like, it led to that shit, but it came off of the internalization. So that's why I go into the chakras. That's why I go into the chakras when I'm talking about shadow work, especially the first 3. The root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. You feel what I'm saying? It's very important because when you figure out what those are blocked by, you figure out how your shadow work is going to really play the fuck out. You feel what I'm saying? The root is blocked by fear, the sacral is blocked by guilt, and the solar plexus is blocked by shame. That's dope because when you don't face with your fears, right? When you're not able to face your fears, every action that you have can make you feel guilty, which goes into your sacral. You feel me? It makes you feel guilty. So when that shit makes you feel guilty, what happens is that over time, the longer you feel guilty about some shit, the more you internalize it. And that's how it becomes shame. Internalized guilt is shame. You dig what I'm saying? And when shame becomes, when guilt becomes internalized, it becomes shame. And then shame becomes your personal identity, yo. The shit that shames you is like, yo, it goes from this is some shit that I did to, yo, this is who the fuck I am. Like, this is who I am, bro. Like, damn. I bring shame to myself. I bring shame to this. Like, and the longer you internalize shame, the deeper it gets for you. Like, that's why heartbreaks be so bad. You feel me? Because in the heartbreak, a lot of times we internalize that it might have been my fault and we feel guilty for that shit. What did I do to make this motherfucker? You didn't do shit. They just chose to do it. You feel what I'm saying? We internalize that guilt and then it becomes, this person did this to me. I'm the reason why this person did this to me. Yo, this may be who I fucking am. This may be who I am. We start to internalize shit like, yo, I'm undesirable. I don't love myself because motherfuckers don't love me. Like, I'm unlovable. Like, that's your shadow side being fucked over, because now you're trying to internalize this shit from a different perspective, and a perspective that ain't you. You feel me? And then internalizing that as something that ain't you, you dig deeper into it and you just compound. And then your imagination kicks in. That shit gets worse. You fall into a hermit mode. You go into a deep, dark state of depression. See, depression is a very fucked up thing, but depression can be good by definition. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying go, get stuck in depression. Like, is motherfuckers that really soaking the shit? Because, depression ultimately becomes an addiction to sadness over time. You feel what I'm saying? And you can become sad for so long that that's your normalcy, and you become addicted to it. You feel me? But I'm not trying to dwell on it from that depression. To depress something means to go deeper down. Why do you think we go through depressive states? In order to be able to come out of them stronger. But it's in conquering and mastering depression. You don't need medicine to get over depression. You don't need that. But when you believe you do, you're going to have it. Depression is alleviated by going in and doing your shadow work. I've suffered depression. Bad. You feel me? Bad. To the point where my depression led me to be suicidal in thought. I never acted upon it. Because a lot of times people can't tell a suicidal motherfucker. A lot of times they can't even tell a depressed motherfucker, because it's like, you think depressed, a lot of time we be thinking depressed is black fingernails and unkempt hair, and you feel me? People just staying like, nah. I was depressed in a state when I was still pushing forward. Motherfuckers didn't know. I was still going to school, still going to class, still studying, keeping my grades up, shit like that. The shit that they try to say, oh, you weren't depressed. Bitch, yes, the fuck I was. I was in a heavy state of depression. You feel what I'm saying? I was smoking out of, escapism as opposed to recreation. It wasn't recreation no more. I was drinking out of escapism. No longer out of recreation. But I was still the life of the motherfucker party. I was still the life wherever I went. Motherfuckers still, my light still shined and people still fed off my energy, but my light was tainted. My light was weak. It wasn't, it wasn't what it was supposed to be, because I still suffered through that. But it was in the depression. I was like, yo, what the fuck? How do I get out of this shit? You feel what I'm saying? I prayed. Didn't work. I did certain, every avenue that I tried, everything that I went through, everything that I tried to do, it sent me to one place, myself. The more I said, yo, I want to get out of this depressive state, the farther I went away from people. The more I went into myself, the more I went in to say, okay, let me figure this out. Let me figure out what it is. So I went back into the core of the shit that triggered my depression, the shit that, being raised without a father. You feel what I'm saying? Being left alone, betrayal from homies, betrayal from women, like the shit that I've done to people that I couldn't forgive myself for. That I was like, yo, I did that shit, bruh. Damn. That shit'll put you into the state of depression, because then that puts you in the shame of saying, I'm a fucked up individual. You feel me? The shit that I did. Now that's how I was able to understand the difference between guilt and shame. And I felt guilty for a lot of shit that I did, but then I started to internalize it as, bruh, that's me. That's just me. That's not you. That's an action you had. You feel me? That's something that you did. That's not who you are. You feel me? Because there's a balance between you. There's a polarity in you that naturally says, you know what? I'm more than this. Right? But you had a fuck up. You feel me? So the shadow work in my opinion, it starts with the chakras. You know what I mean? It starts with the chakras, and you have to go in to do it. You have to face your fears first. The biggest thing, the hardest thing to face when it comes to your fears is the fact that you've internalized shame. And by internalizing shame, first thing that you do is that you fear being seen. You know, you fear being seen. You fear being known. You fear people knowing who you are, because who are they? You think they're going to see what you see. You think they're going to see who you are. You feel me? Who you feel you are based off of your traumas, based off of your past, based off of the shadow side, the shit that you can't heal, shit that you won't heal. That's what you think they see. You feel what I'm saying? That's not what they see. That's not what they see. I've had so many people, you know, in my states of coming out of this shit. I have so many people, like, when they found, they like, you was what? I know, bro. Like, it's what it was. You feel what I'm saying? But it took that inner work. You know, when I first learned about chakras, that shit was like, yo, this shit's dope. It's deep. Now, hold on. It's deeper than just, okay, I'm going to get me a couple of essential oils, put some drops in the diffusers, and my chakras are clear. My chakras are clear. Hell nah, it's deeper than that, because you still got the mind, body, and soul complex. That happens, that starts to work on the physical, because it appeals to the sense of smell. You feel what I'm saying? So it stimulates the nerve, but then you got the mental and the spiritual aspect to it too. There's a synergy between the mind, body, and the soul. You feel what I'm saying? I had to figure out, yo, what the fuck made me do this shit? What the fuck led me to this shit, bro? You feel what I'm saying? So shadow work is about acceptance, you know? Acceptance. You're going to go through the 5 stages of grief when you're doing your shadow work, bro. Like, yo, spiritual ascension is dope, and I love it. It's the awakening, though. That's what fucks you up. The awakening is like this, right? This is how the universe works, right? This is why I be saying, yo, the universe be on some asshole shit sometimes, yo. Because the awakening happens when you're grief stricken. But it happens, like, you go through some shit, it's like, you know what? I got you, bro. Like, I'm telling you, look, start working on this shit. Start working on this shit. All right, fuck it. Bam, here comes trauma. Boop. Go by yourself. Go by yourself. And we're never, ever taught how to deal with trauma. Because how do you prepare for trauma? You can't prepare for that shit because it's individual. You feel what I'm saying? Trauma is individual. Trauma is it knows nobody. It don't give a fuck who you are. It's like, yo, bing, 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 bitch, I'm here. You feel what I'm saying? That's how trauma works. It really has no merit. And it has no, ain't got no conscience either. It's just, yo, you gonna get this work. I pop up, bitch, here I am. You feel me? That's how it works. That's how trauma works. So it's like, you can't prepare somebody for how to deal with trauma. You can't, because what traumatizes me may not traumatize you. You feel what I'm saying? I have a friend, and you know what I mean? Like, we talk about spirit animals and shit like that. At the time, because you know, it changes depending on your season, depending on where you are at. But at the time, my spirit animal was a frog. Okay? The frog died. I just took a picture and sent it to her and said, yo, I think my spirit animal died. So whatever connection I had to that is gone. It freaked her out. She was like, yo, let me know before you send me some shit like that. That is like, she was like, yo, you just sent me something to death. And I was like, oh, damn, I did, didn't I? I ain't even think about it. I just sent you a dead fucking frog. Like, you feel what I'm saying? So our traumas are different. You feel me? I'm desensitized to death. Not on any funny shit, but like, I've never seen death in the way that people normally do. You know what I mean? I don't cry at funerals. Like, it's like this, when the immediate reaction happens, it's like, I don't soak over it. I don't mull over it over too long. I'm like, all right, well, not only morbid shit, but it's like, life goes on, because it does. You feel what I'm saying? But you have to understand that death is not the end all. And I think a lot of times that is the association with death. Because a lot of us, when we're doing our shadow work, we have to come to terms with and acknowledge the fact that we die with our heart still beating. We die with breath in our lungs. All right, look. The markets are not a difficult place to understand, all right? You just have to know what you're looking at. And there's 5 things that you need to see before you can make any market entry. First, you need a pocket, so you can know which direction the market is going in. Second, you need a pullback, so you can get the better price. Third, you need a battlefield, so you can see when that market movement is slowing down. Fourth, you need the upper hand so you can see when the market reactivates. And last, you need a final push so you can see the exact moment when it's time to go with the direction you are already moving in. Okay? Of course, there's so much more that has to go into that, and it's not as cut and dry as that. But those are things that I teach in my Mastering the Market course. So if you would like to learn more, please visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today. Although it is directed and specialized for Forex, all of the skills, I crafted them to be transferable to any market that you're looking at. So again, visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today if you are truly looking to master the market. Oh yeah, and don't forget, while I still got you, you can use promo code QUARANTINE to save over 90% off of the enrollment of the full price of the course. That is QUARANTINE, QUARANTEEN. No more excuses. It is time to take your trading to the next level. Mastering the Market, a comprehensive guide to Forex trading, is an 8-week comprehensive course that teaches you how to trade, read, and understand the markets. From the candles to the entries and the exits, you will gain the insight necessary to make profitable trades while greatly reducing your risks. Even more, you learn how to take these skills and apply them to long-term investing outside of Forex in areas such as stocks, commodities, ETFs, and so much more. It's your time to put the power in your own hands and master the market. So visit www.thejustsingacademy.teachable.com to enroll today. And always remember, the future is yours, but only when you create it. How do you recover from death? See, that's it. Like when we look at the physical aspect, you can't recover from death. Like that's it. That's the end of it, right? But shadow work is about recovering from death while you're still alive. That shit is some heavy shit. It's some real heavy shit because you can't prepare for that. You can't prepare for what's going to traumatize you. You can't prepare for what's going to happen to you. You know what I mean? In any way, shape, or form, it just happens. So how do you cope? How do you heal it? You feel what I'm saying? Everybody, spend time with it. You got to go in and like, where are you going into? That's the thing about it. Like, I talk this shit sometimes, but I understand what I be talking about. You feel me? So I express it from this perspective. When I tell people, hey, look, you got to go in. You feel me? You got to go in. Meditate, go in. Where are you going when you go in? You feel what I'm saying? Where are you going? Whenever I do my meditations, whenever something is hanging over me, whenever I got to release that shit, I go in and I face that shit. Some people call it the spiritual realm. I call it the dreamscape. Whatever the case may be, you can go into these places. That's where your soul belongs. That's where it resides. You can go there. And I revisit these situations. I revisited every situation that caused me trauma. I revisited every situation that caused me pain. You feel me? You can't, because it's like, you have to feel where it made you hurt. You have to feel where it took you. You feel what I'm saying? Where is it hurting in your body? Where is it hurting? Like, what does it make you do? What does it make you think? Does it make you shake? Does it make you tremble? Like, what does it make you do? You got to sit with all of that. That shadow work. But it goes back to what I was talking about with the jam session when I said, I had to mutilate the angels just to desecrate the demons. What I meant when I said that is that I had to realize that shit ain't all cookies and milk, bro. Shit ain't all, and I had to break this mentality and this perception that it's always gonna be good. Life is always gonna be good. It's not. And that's when shadow work begins, because now you're like, oh, you mean to tell me demons aren't always bad? Now, let me put a break in the drama real quick. I don't mean demons in the religious sense of fucking motherfuckers with pitchforks and all that shit. I'm not talking about no demonic shit, and I'm not talking about embracing demons. I'm speaking metaphorically as the polarities, angels and demons, light and dark. You get me? But we're afraid of the darkness. So, you feel me? When we talk about, face your demons, and we already internalize the demons or something, like, nah, it's the energy that is accepted with that. That's why I said demons aren't always bad. You feel me? Metaphorically, okay? Metaphorically. And don't. I'm not a Satanist. I'm not a devil worshiper. No shit like that. Okay. My thing is that you have to face it, because you'll see a part of your past that is like what you see as a negative. Like, yo, that really, you feel me? That really turned the reality for me. Me and my moms was vibing one day, and we was talking about So Frail and shit. And, you know, she said, you know what? She said, you've healed from what your dad did to you. I was like, how you know? You know what I mean? Me and my mom, we joke like that. So I was like, how you know I healed from it? She said, because your book's So Frail. She said, matter of fact, both books. Like, she said, how do you think you write something like that? No anger, no rage, no resentment. She said, you wrote something out of this world that could not have been created if you would not have healed. She said, you weren't bitter in that. You're not angry. You're not upset. She said, but that came from you healing what your father did to you. And I sat back and thought about it. I said, damn, I guess it did. Because that was the impetus for it. In accepting that, yo, I can't hold him accountable, and I can't be on no shit like that. The reality that hit for me when it was time for me to start healing the pain from my pops and shit. And ultimately, this, like, in healing this, I started to apply this to every aspect of my life. You feel what I'm saying? I was doing something, and somebody was like, yo, your dad, it's gonna be like the NBA or some shit. He gonna suddenly come out and be like, yo, that's still my son. And I'm like, man, he don't get credit for this shit. Fuck him. And I'm mad and shit. I'm like, yo, if anything, motherfucker, it's his fault, then I'm in this, like. And I started to think about it. I said, damn, that's still credit. Credit and blame is the same shit. I'm like, if I'm not willing to give him credit for shit, I can't blame him for nothing. You feel me? I'm like, I can't blame him for shit, because to blame him still gives him that same power, because at the end of the day, it's the credit and the blame that made me who I am. So I'm like, I got to absolve myself from this motherfucker altogether. You feel what I'm saying? So I went back in to myself, and I started to face it. I started to face the times, you know, when I would cry waiting up for him. You feel what I'm saying? When I would talk to him on the phone. Like, the sad thing about it is that I never met him a day in my life. Let me take that back. I met him when I was 11. All right, I met him when I was 11 for like a week. But he was gone by that time. He was gone when I was 4 months old. Him and my mom split. You feel what I'm saying? He said what he said. And, you know, that's not here nor there. But it's like, all right, bro, keep that energy. You feel what I mean? But it's like, I remember talking to him on the phone for the first time and him saying, yo, I'm going to come see you. I'm going to be driving a black car. And for the whole summer, every time I saw a black, now I'm like 3 or 4 years old, but every time I saw a black car, I was like, yo, Mom, that's my dad right there. You know what that does to a kid psychologically on some shit like that? Like, you feel what I'm saying? If I seen a black car with a man in it, a black man, yo, that's my daddy. You know how many black men drive black cars? You dig what I'm saying? So I'm like, damn, bro, this shit crazy. But then something sparked in me. I was a kid at this point. And I remember I was just like, you know what? I was sitting by myself. I think I was like on a curb or something. Cause like I used to play outside, but like right in front of the house and shit. But I was sitting on the curb and I had a stick in my hand. And I was just like, man, he ain't coming. And at that point, it was dead. I never thought about it again. I never worried about it. I never wondered about it. So much so that it had to be rekindled when, you know, me and my mom was talking about it one day. She was like, you remember when this? I was like, nah, that ain't happened. And she was like, yes, it did. I was like, hold on. And I went, you know, meditated, thought it. I was like, yo, that shit did happen. And I'm starting to relive it and start to come back. So those things, I like, damn, how much trauma do we not even remember? You feel me? Like, how much have we actually put so far back into our minds that it's in the archives we don't even know we got anymore? You feel what I'm saying? But that's shadow work, bro. That's shadow work. That's peeling up. Shadow work is going in and digging up the shit that you forget about. Going in and digging up the shit that has to be truly rewritten within your mind. You feel what I'm saying? It has to be rewritten within your mind. So we look at that and it's like, damn, I don't want to face that again. I didn't want to face the trauma of knowing that motherfucking for a whole summer, bro. probably longer. I remember a summer. It could have been longer, but I remember a summer when I saw a black car. Yeah, you dig what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, that's my dad. That's my dad. I remember one time it had to last longer than that because I was able to walk to the store by myself at this point because I seen a black guy he was driving a trash truck, picking up trash or whatnot, rolled through. The motherfucker smiled at me. Just because I just happened to be at the point where he was probably like, in my mind, like, yo, that's my dad. Oh shit. You know what I mean? I sprinted off home and then I caught myself. I was like, that ain't my dad, man. And then I went to the store. You feel what I'm saying? Just like that. But I didn't remember half of that shit until I started doing my shadow work. And I'm like, yo, bro, it's so much. It's so much here. There's so much in this motherfucker. But you got to go in and it's hard to make peace with that shit. That's why when I talk about, when I put my slogan at the end of my captions on, on Instagram, when I put it at the end of my books, when I say peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, what peace means is not, people assume that when I'm saying peace, I'm like, peaches and roses and shit. You feel me? Nah, I define peace like this. Peace is the control of chaos. You feel me? I'm peaceful because I control the chaos in my life. I got a lot of it. We all got chaos. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want people to feel like, when it comes to spiritual people, oh, you spiritually sound, like you don't deal with this shit. I deal with this shit every fucking day. I do. But I control the chaos because I'm like, yo, I dealt with it. I deal with it. You feel me? There's still moments when shit triggers me, yo. There's still moments, but it's like, I have to control that chaos. So that's why I say peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. When I say the peace, I'm like, yo, I have to control the chaos within my life. This shit ain't peaceful. This shit ain't peaceful by the conventional sense. Shit be popping off all the time. But by that, I'm like, yo, I'm going to control the chaos. I'm going to control the chaos within. And that takes me going in and dealing with the chaos, facing that shit. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, when it comes to like the fucked up shit that happens in our lives, it's like we become afraid of the monster. But see, the problem with that is that, and then not dealing with shadow work, is that you become afraid of the monster so long that in order to stop being afraid of it, you just have to become it. You feel what I mean? You have to become it. I see it happen with women all the time. Woman gets cheated on several times. And then it gets to the point where, fuck it, I'm going to be a cheater too. I'm going to wild the fuck out. You feel what I'm saying? I'm going to have my heart broken so much that fuck it, I'm going to start breaking hearts to keep mine from being broken. You run from the monster. You can only run for so long. But when that monster, you fear it so much, you just become it. And you're like, yo, fuck you. If you going to be the monster, I'm going to be the monster too, bitch, and we're going to see who wins. That's not shadow work. That's not dealing with it. Because at the end of the day, when you peel back the layers, you're like, yo, I don't fuck with monsters. And I'm not afraid of monsters either. You feel what I'm saying? There's something that it's like I dealt with in a fucked up time frame of my life, because it was like when I say that this was a mean run. It was like between 15 and 17 years old. No, it was before then. Because I never forget, I was in the 7th grade and I was going with this girl, had this girlfriend or whatnot. I always been like trying to be the one woman man type motherfucker and shit, but you dig me? This literally was a straw that broke the camel's back. Like I kept trying to be, now granted, I'm like 12, 13 years old. So I'm like, I'm gonna be the good guy. I really like you and shit, right? So I'm trying to be that motherfucker and shit, right? I kept getting played. And I got played like on some embarrassing type shit. Like I got played on some I don't give a fuck type shit. Like, so it was like the last straw. You know what I mean? This girl at the time, she said, she was going, like, we started going together or some shit, and then, like, we on a school bus, and then this other girl was just like, yeah, that's when you started going with such and such, and blah, 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 I was like, oh, and she just looked at me like, well, now you know. At that point, I was like, yo, fuck it. Like, you feel me? Only way to stop doing this, only way for this shit to stop happening to me is for me to do it. And when I do it, I'm going to do it well. And this is like, yo, so from like 14 to 17, 18-ish, I was a mean motherfucker. I was a mean motherfucker because I had internalized. I didn't go in and deal with that shit and realize, you know what, I shouldn't be, this is not my type. This is not who I'm attracted to. I was too young to go through all of that shit. I couldn't talk to nobody because everybody, the older heads, yo, fuck these bitches. That's what they was telling me. That's how they told me how to get over the shit. You feel me? Then I talked to the older women. It's just like, oh, well, you're young. You'll get over that shit. All right, man. Fuck it. Because I'm not getting over it. So fuck it. I'm going to become the monster. And I became the monster. And nobody liked the monster I became. Because I was savage. I ain't give a fuck no more. You feel what I'm saying? Cousins, friends, best friends. It didn't matter. Feel me? If you come, so. But I was like, I had realized, I had come to terms with the fact, I'm inflicting pain on people that didn't even hurt me. Goes to the phrase, hurt people, hurt people. Shadow work is real. Like, you got to deal with that shit because it's like, if you don't go in and you don't internalize, you like, that shit's crazy. And I didn't want to deal with it because I feared it. I feared it because I was like, yo, my thing is this. Like I said, it goes back to what I was talking about with the three chakras, the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. You feel me? I feared addressing it because of the guilt that I internalized. I was like, yo, what is it about me? I said, maybe I did something to make this person not fuck with me like that. Maybe what was it? So I internalized that shit and I was like, so then I flipped who the fuck I was. I went from being, okay, I'm just gonna, deal with one woman at a time. And like, I used to be that. I wanted to be that. Like, I've always felt that. And I said, all right, this world ain't built for it. So, all right, goddamn, let's see what the world is built for. See if you're ready for me, motherfucker. And a lot of us had that mentality, not just off of relationships, off of the trauma that we feel. You feel what I'm saying? We get to that point where we're like, oh, that's it. That straw that breaks the camel's back moment, that is the defining moment where it's like, are you going to go in or are you going to stay without? A lot of us stay without because we don't want to go in because we got to deal with that shit. We got to feel it. We got to feel the sinking feeling of our heart. You feel what I'm saying? We got to feel when our hearts skip a beat. We got to feel the anger. We got to feel our eyes welling up and all of that shit. We don't want to feel that shit. Don't nobody want to feel that shit. What Sweet Brown say? Nobody got time for that. We don't. So we say, fuck it. You know what I mean? And like I said, we become a monster. We become a monster and we inflict that shit. So, like I said, that goes into the ego. The ego never dies. You can't kill it. But the ego becomes what your shadow is. The ego becomes what you can't heal. The ego becomes what you can't make peace with. You feel me? The ego becomes what you succumb to. And the ego wins. Every time. Every time. So while we thinking, you know what I mean, we're not becoming these things. We are. We are. And it's just a matter of time. So with the shadow work, you feel what I'm saying? You got to take the time to find the peace within and go within and face all of this shit, bro. Like, you can set your moon rituals. You can set your intentions. You can set whatever that is. But all of that shit is going to do is like, yo, it's going to send you back to you. You feel me? I know so many people's like, yo, I'm going to wait till the new moon to do this. Like, all right, motherfucker, you can wait all you want to. All this is going to happen. The new moon, you're going to set the intentions. You're going to plan that shit. The full moon, something's going to happen to send you back into yourself. Right? It's going to send you to a solitude confinement. It's going to send you to a solitary moment to where you got to deal with the shit, bruh. Sis, you got to really say, fuck it. I got to go in and deal with it. I got to cry. I got to scream. I got to turn the music off. That's another thing that keeps y'all from doing your shadow work. You medicate with sad music. You feel what I'm saying? You medicate with sad music as opposed to actually dealing with the shit. You feel me? I remember, like, when I got into it, my worst breakup, all I did was listen to breakup music. I didn't even deal with the shit. I just dealt with shit to justify why I was feeling bad. Deuces, motherfucking, I ain't thinking about you, doing just fine, Boys to Men and shit. I'm playing this shit trying to psych myself up. You feel me? Like, nah, I wasn't dealing with it. I wasn't healing with it. And what happened? It kept sending me right back into myself, right back into me, right back to the point where I have to really focus and heal that shit. You feel me? Because the thing about trauma is that it plants a seed, right? And contrary to what we believe, seeds grow well. in the darkness of the shadow. You feel me? The seeds planted within our shadow cells, oh, them shits grow well. We don't need light for them. We don't need light at all. Once they planted, it's just like, yo, our thoughts are going to be the light. Our feelings and emotions, energy, emotion, is going to enhance that shit, bro. And it's going to make that shit what it is. You feel me? And that's the problematic piece. Because we got to go in and uproot that shit. And sometimes we've let it sit for too long. First, we got to chop the bitch down. You feel what I'm saying? Because we don't address it when it first happens. We don't address, oh shit, this shit was just planted. Let me go ahead and take this seed out. Nah, we let that shit grow. We let that shit stick. We let that shit grow and we let it get thicker and then it just keeps building. And then we look at the tree. We got all these fucking branches on it, leaves, dead fruit. It's just like, damn, I don't even want to deal with it anymore. So fuck it, I just let it stay there. Eventually it'll die. Nope, not in the shadow side, not your shadow self, not your shadow work. So you got to go in. You feel me? Start chopping the branches off. Burn them bitches. You feel me? Then you go to the trunk. You feel me? Chop it down. Then you dig up the roots in that bitch and you take that tree all the way out. You feel me? You don't just prune it and get like, you know what I'm saying? We face it. We got to, and that's another thing. We got to have spiritual stamina to deal with this shit. Spiritual stamina is different. That shit different, bro. Like spiritual stamina, you got to be able to, spiritual stamina is developed in the shadow side and when you're doing shadow work. Real shit. Real shit. When you develop the spiritual stamina to deal with yourself, you can deal with the world. You can deal with the world. Like so many people that I talk to when it comes to like, you know, healing and, you know, spiritual cleansings and shit like that, like from the conversational piece and actually going in and digging in and peeling back the layers, they be like, yo, bro, I didn't drain you. Like I know how to dissipate energy. I know how to work my energies. Yeah, you put a lot on me, but it wasn't mine to take on. So I don't give a fuck. Like, and I don't know disrespectful shit. Like, I don't give a fuck about what you're doing because I would really spend time with people healing them. Like, literally bringing, not me actually, I'm going to actively heal you. No, I bring you to a point where we have a back and forth exchange so much that you just start to realize that you bringing shit out of yourself. You learn how to heal yourself and then you start realizing you chopping your own tree down. And then you get that it's like this is how people have described it to me. Like after the conversation is over, they're like, bruh, I feel light. I know. That's what it does. Like, you know, they're like, yo, how you do that? I didn't do shit. I showed you where your shadow work is. I showed you where your shadow side is. I show you where you need to be to get this shit out. I may have walked with you in there, but I ain't do none of the work. If this is the metaphor and shit, I just kept you company while you was chopping the tree down. That's it. Like you was like, yo, I'm like, yo, this your tree, bro. Like, cut that bitch. It ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm gonna keep you company. You know, hey, don't forget this branch up here. You know what I mean? Don't forget that one right there. Hey, look, you see, don't forget, you're gonna go ahead and salt this trunk real quick before you leave because you might not come back immediately. But when you do come back, it's still dead and we can start to work on the roots. That's the shit that I do. Like, but off the shadow side aspect of it all, you know, I show people like, yo, you can face that shit. Because so many people tell you not to face your shit. You feel me? That shadow work is your shit. Like, you face that. You face your fuck ups. You face your blunders. You face your embarrassments. You got to. Because it's what comes out on the other side. That's how your light shines brighter, bro. You don't want to get stuck in that. Be dim all the time and just, you know. So, when it comes to shadow work, you got to isolate from everything. Yourself. You know what I mean? The very first time I did it, like, I turned my music off. I stopped listening to music. I stopped watching TV. I got off social media. This was for a long period of time. I ain't gonna say long. It was probably like 8 months. But it worked out that I was in another country by myself. I stayed to myself. And I dealt with me. You feel what I'm saying? I dealt with me. I didn't beat me up. I didn't attack me. You feel me? Like, oh yeah, you did this, you did that. Nah, I sat with them things and I was like, yo, okay, but that's not who I am. And if you don't do your shadow work, you're going to be on a hamster wheel, because you're going to spend so much time trying to create accolades, trying to create awards, trying to create an escape and run away. Say, well, see all of the shit that I did? It should erase that. That's not healthy. That's not healthy, because if you've never dealt with that shit, you're always going to be running from it. And you're always going to be having that fix of trying, like, I've done it. Like that, like I've done it. You know, I faced situations where after I came out of it, I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, that, the third, fourth. I'm going to keep doing this shit to erase all of that. And I was never satisfied. It was an insatiable appetite I couldn't feel. Excuse me. It was an insatiable appetite I couldn't feel. And in not feeling that, I just, like, when I look at, like, quote unquote, my resume and the shit that I've accomplished in life, it's like, damn, I did a lot, but I can't stop. Well, I can now, because like I said, I've gotten to that point. But when I look at it in the time before I did all of this, I was like, yo, it's this ain't you. It was deeper than that. It wasn't as simple as that conversation. But I sat with it. I dealt with it. I went back and I looked at the people that I hurt in these situations. I looked at the people that hurt me. I looked at all of that shit. Like, at the end of the day, it was what it was. But I peeled back the layers of it. And that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to embrace yourself. You're going to have to brace yourself to embrace yourself. You feel me? Prepare for this shit. It's going to be rough. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be dark. But you're going to let go. It's the release that happens. You feel what I'm saying? It's the release that happens, and it's the release that's important. You feel me? You're not your mistakes. You're not your mistakes. You're not the mistakes of people that you fucked with. You're not the mistakes of your parents. You're not any of that shit. You are a vessel who's experiencing life, and you go through shit. It's character, like you go through shit, but it's for your character. And as you evolve and you transform out of that shit, and you move forward in life, you start to see, okay, this particular point happened for this reason. You feel me? If you stop living, you feel me? If the skeletons in your closet, if the shit that you've gone through keeps you from living, you will never understand why you've gone through the things that you go through. Yes, heal it, deal with it, you know what I mean? But at the same time, still continue to live, because it'll meet. It's like, yo, I went through this because of that. You feel what I'm saying? Just sticking with this metaphor, because I revealed this aspect of myself. You feel what I'm saying? When I became the hoe, because it was like I got tired of getting played, in that same light, it gave me something different. Because in that time frame, I was like, all right, cool. But I showed, I had to go through that, because when I went through that, it ultimately led me to the point where I'm like, you know what? This ain't right. Now, granted, women don't need to treat us like that either. And I'm not saying, it's chicken and egg, who came first? Like, the reality is that our relationships aren't made to be compatible. So that is its own point in itself. You feel what I'm saying? But it's like, we need to realize that, okay, I got hurt by this one woman. You feel what I'm saying? And that's the thing about it. This is going to be So Frail Conversations. The next one, it's going to kind of segue into this. But that's another thing that goes into our emotions. Like, as men, we're so busy being conditioned not to deal with our emotions and shit that we don't consider anybody else's emotion. We out here inflicting pain. Now, not giving a fuck has its repercussions. You feel me? I don't like, we can tell, like, I've done this shit. I was that mom, yo, you knew what you was getting into, like, don't. And I told every woman up front, like, yo, this is what it's gonna be, Oh, okay, I just want to see where it's gonna go. Nowhere, baby girl. It's not going anywhere. I'm telling you, it's not going anywhere. You think you're gonna change my mind? Okay, we'll see. But again, I had not dealt with my shadow work, and I had become the monster. And that's just one aspect of the shit that I've held on to in my life. The negative shit that I've held on to in life. You know how many different versions of a monster I've become? You know how many different versions of a monster you might be? simply because you have not healed that shit that is within you. You did not heal the shit that caused you to run from the monster in the first place. But you got tired of running. You feel me? You got tired of running and you became the monster yourself. And it gets crazy because it's like, at what point does the cycle stop? The cycle stops when you go in, you do your shadow work, you go into yourself, you embrace yourself, and you heal and cleanse those things, and you sit with them and you deal with them. And that's how you're able to emerge on the other side. You know, you got to go through the darkness in order to strengthen your light.
And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes merch and get your merchandise right now.
All right, so that's pretty much, shadow work. It's doing it is another thing than just speaking on it. You know what I mean? It takes a lot to do this shit. It takes a lot to do this shit. You feel what I'm saying? And it's not as simple as, and it's never as simple as, just let it go. But you got to deal with that shit and you got to face it. You can't be afraid of you. You can't be afraid of you. And the things that hurt us, the things that bring us pain, like I said, they become skeletons in our closet. You got to put them bitches in the cemetery. Have a whole funeral for everything. A whole funeral, or a cremation. That's how I did my shit with a cremation, but it's symbolic. Like a lot of the shit has to happen within the spirit. I'm not getting into that because that's, it's levels to the shit. You know what I mean? I don't want y'all involving yourselves in shit that y'all ain't built for right now. It's levels to the shit, literally. But it comes into the solitude of self. Finding you. Being with you. Not just, see, that's the thing. A lot of people, we realize that we can't be alone because we really can't be lonely. Because when we're lonely, that's when feelings emerge. And feelings are associated to the things that fuck us up. And that makes us think about the shit. That takes us to that point. You feel what I mean? And in being taken there, it's hard to bounce back. You feel me? It's really hard to bounce back. And it's really also hard to move forward. You feel what I'm saying? So it keeps us keeps us on the landmine. I mean, the landfill, like full of landmines and walking on eggshells within ourselves. Not healing your shadow work is one of the biggest reasons why we settle. Safety. It's safety. Not realizing that the goal is not to walk through life safe. It's not. Like you can't, because you can't predict life. Like danger is uncertain. Safety is kind of guaranteed, but danger is uncertain because safety is you set a set parameter and you stay there. I'm not leaving outside of this. You feel me? Danger is different. Danger is, danger is sporadic. It's random. You never know when you're in a dangerous situation. You don't know you're in a dangerous situation until you're in a dangerous situation. That's how random danger is. Like, when you're in safety. You know you're in the safety and the sanctity. Going to the club and shit. The shit don't register that shit is popping off until shit is popping off. Gunshot shot, like, damn, bro. Like, y'all had to fuck up the club right now. You feel me? But that's danger. You feel what I'm saying? But how do you prepare? How do you maneuver through that? See, we get so wrapped up in surviving and we get stuck in survival mode. Don't get me wrong. We get stuck in survival mode, but there's key aspects in survival mode that we have to carry over into our shadow work. The biggest component to that is overcoming fear, facing fear. You feel me? When you start to face your fears, and your fears are attributed to the things that hurt you the most a lot of times. You feel what I mean? When you learn to start facing your fears, what's going to happen is that you're going to revisit the things that made you feel guilty, the things that you felt guilty for, your regrets, all of that shit. You feel me? We say all the time, man, I ain't got no regrets. Like we do. We do. And we also have things that we no longer regret. But there's things that we haven't made peace with. It's like, yo, damn, I wish if I would have just did this way or that. Like, I deal with that shit even to this day. You feel me? Because you got to get through a regret for you to not regret it anymore. But that comes from the shadow work of, okay, here's what I fear. Here's what I'm guilty for. And here's what I have internalized is, yo, this is who I am. No. You can't do that, right? So you got to face the regretful moment and say, what happened? What did I get out of this? What did I overcome? Like, you know, like I said, in current times, I got shit that I'm battling with right now that's like, yo, that was a regretful situation. I'm still cycling through it and like, you know what? Here's what transpired. Here's what came out of that. Here's what it is. And now I have to elevate above that point. You dig what I mean? Healing from them is how you can have, but like denying, I don't regret shit. You feel me? There's a difference between regret and remorse. And a lot of times we use those two interchangeably. Like, so what we feel when we say, I don't regret anything, we're saying I don't have remorse for how I fucked up. Like that's different. You feel what I'm saying? And even then that still helps you, you know, with your shadow side. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's not until that mirror hits, it's not until that boomerang comes back and it hits you from the opposite side and you're on the receiving end of the shit that you gave out. You feel me? And that's when it hits to where I need to heal this shit. Yes, you do. You do. Because now you know what it feels like. Now you know what it is. And it's like, oh shit, this is why I should. Okay. You know, okay. One of my moments since I've been talking about the relationships and shit, and you know how I used to move with women, you feel me? It was when I got cheated on that I was like, whoa, I did that shit to y'all? Damn. When I did it, I ain't had no remorse. You feel me? I try to say I don't regret what I did. You know, I regretted what I did when that shit hit me back. It's like, oh my gosh. You know, but I felt it coming before it even happened. Before that pain even hit me, I felt it coming. And I was on some shit like, I was hitting up mad women from my past. I was like, yo, if I ever hurt you in any way, I'm sorry, I apologize. All of them accepted my apology, but one of them, she got really, really mad and she ain't fuck with me no more. She was like, it's a little too late for that shit. Blah, 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 blah. I had to eat that. I had to deal with that. I said, you know what? You're right. I should have done it when we was in middle school. I should have done it then. You know what I mean? But see, she was a girlfriend. It was like, I broke her. Like, I made her cry. But this situation, I wasn't on that hooligan shit at this point. You feel me? Because she was like a real girlfriend. But it's like, I was going to high school. And she was, you know, she was like, I was in 8th grade. She was in 7th grade. So she would have still been in middle school. I said, yo, I don't think that we can continue because you never know what may happen. I'm not around. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's different now. I'm in high school and shit. You feel me? I'm in high school. You're still in middle school. It's different, yo. Like, yo, let's just go our separate ways. She broke down. She cried, whatever the case may be. And I was like, damn, bro. And so years later, I tried to apologize to her and, you know, she ain't forgive me for the shit. It's a little too late. And it was too late. Damn near 5-6 years. But whatever. But I had that revelation because I kind of felt the energy with the relationship that I was in. I was like, yo, I don't really like it here, but I'm going to try to make this shit work. But anywho, I was trying to apologize to everybody up until that point. And then even then, it was just like, I was doing some fucked up shit. Then when that shit hit me, I was like, oh my God, this is what I did to y'all? Like, this is how y'all felt? This is, you know what I mean? And so that's when I was like, you know what? I seen the importance of shadow work. I started to see the importance of shadow work because, again, it picked up the cycle that happened when I was in middle school. I went back into it. I was like, oh, this is how these bras want to do. You feel me? You be a good motherfucker and shit. You feel me? I wasn't even paying it. I was like, yo, fuck karma. I was a good person. I felt like my karma should have been erased because I was a good person to this person. No. Karma waits when it's ready. You know? What T.I. say, he said, karma is the only thing that knows its way around everywhere you be around. Real shit. And you cannot dodge that motherfucker. Karma is always around and you never know when that motherfucker gonna strike. You feel me? And so, again, I'm about to go back into that space where I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm doing this. I'm gonna do this. And it's like, it hit me. And I say, you know what? I feel that I'm falling back into that space. Let me heal this shit. Because it was gonna be ugly this time. Because before, like, as a kid, I was embarrassed. This time I was hurt. It was pain. It was different. So if I did that shit to them as a kid, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do some sick shit as I'm older. Like, I don't need to do that shit. So I went in, like I said, did my shadow work. I faced it. I healed it. And, in that, certain things were revealed to me. You feel me? That wasn't even my type. Well, no, she was my type. She wasn't my attraction. Got a podcast episode on that. You can run that back too. But it's like that uncovered the shit. I was like, oh, Now, this is not say, okay, you victimize yourself and say it was my fault or none of that shit like that. But it's like, here's why it went this way. You feel me? And that's what shadow work is about. It's not about taking so much onus on yourself and say, yo, it's my fault. I'm the victim. I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, no, I'm not. I didn't victimize myself, but I understood what the fuck happened to me and what caused it. You feel me? There's a sequence of events that occurs to things that lead, that happens. You feel what I'm saying? And some shit we will never get to it. Like when you get to the deeper aspects of the shit, I'm just speaking about a punk ass relationship. But when you get to the deeper aspects of childhood traumas, of different abandonments and different things like that, that's different. It's a lot deeper. You feel me? But one thing you have to truly understand is that you cannot internalize it as it being your fault. You feel what I'm saying? Take responsibility for the shit that you caused. But the shit that ain't your fault, it ain't your fault. You feel me? It ain't your fault. Start accepting that. You feel what I'm saying? Abandonment issues, just deeper aspects of trauma. I don't want to, delve too deeper into things like that because that's a very touchy subject. But y'all kind of see where I'm going with that. But that's shadow work, Your breakups, your embarrassments, put the skeletons that are in your closet in a cemetery. Put them bitches in a cemetery and let them know they ain't got no more power. They ain't got no power. You feel what I'm saying? We've gotten numb to the skeletons in the closet because we just move them to the side and pick our next outfit out. Nah, take them bitches, put them motherfuckers in a casket, put them in an urn, put them where, take the time to dissect them and break them completely down. You feel me? Understand your role in the situation. Understand the other person's role or the other thing's situation, because sometimes it's not always a person. Understand your role and the other noun's role, because it could be a person, place, thing, whatever. But understand that shit and then go into and deal with it. Face it. Deal with it. You feel me? Feel the pain again. Feel where it hurts and feel these things, because that's how wounds become scars. They got to get scabbed up first. They got to get scabbed up first. So that's my take on shadow work. I do help guide people through their shadow work phases, only because I've done it. I've done it and I'm still doing it. And now it's easier to do now, but it's like I've helped people through their shadow work. I've helped people overcome the adversities and a lot of things. A lot of people really transition and transform themselves, man. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful as fuck. But, in guiding people to themselves is like, yo, don't run from it. Embrace it. You feel me? Don't kill your ego. Master it. Make it your friend. You feel me? Figure out what it is about this demon that you can turn into an angel. You feel me? Again, metaphorically, guys. I hope y'all ain't talking to demons and shit. I hope y'all ain't. That's different. But anyway, with that being said, man, that's shadow work. Please take your time and go in. Spend time with yourself and uncover the deeper aspects of you. Uncover the deeper aspects of you. Embrace yourself. Love yourself. You cannot love what you are not willing to correct. Okay? You cannot love what you are not willing to correct. You know, they teach us, okay, love yourself, flaws and all. There is no flaw. You can't be made of. You're created by a perfect creator. You are not flawed. You know, people's perception of you has nothing to do with you. You feel what I'm saying? You're not flawed. But the thing is like, so don't love. You can't just love the things about you that you know are causing you problems. Right? If you know that it's causing you a problem, you can't, well, this is just me, so I got to love it. No. With love comes correction. If you love that aspect about yourself, cool. That's different. But if that aspect is problematic for you, solutionize that motherfucker and correct that shit. And that's what shadow work is. But spend time with yourself. So with that being said, we're going to end it there. Be sure to follow me on all my social media outlets. _just_scene_ on Instagram, the Just Scene podcast on Instagram, Just Scene's merch on Instagram, Twitter _just_scene_ the 90-day vegan course on Instagram as well, Facebook, same titles and shit. Get my books, Hitting the Raw, Living a Raw, Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life, So Frail, a reality to Black male masculinity, and So Frail 2, Toxic Femininity. All of these things can be found on my Instagram page and the links of the bios of the webpage and in the links of your podcast stations. I also accept donations. So if you feel, you want to tip, drop something, sponsor the podcast channel for expansion, please do so. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not, against that whatsoever. And as I said, I also have, I just, started the Chatting with Scene. And it, you know what? It kind of worked out because having this episode and then that coming out at the same time, Chatting with Scene is, pretty much, I have conversations with people and I help bring them to their spiritual awakening part through the shadow work that they have to do. I'm just a guide. I just walk you through it because I'm telling you, I've been through this shit several times over since a kid. You feel me? Since a kid. So it's like I kind of just, I usually need some company. That's all. You feel me? So you can do Chatting with Scene. You can find that on my Instagram, my main Instagram page. And coming soon, really, really soon, Mastering the Market, a Forex guide to trading, where I am teaching you how to read the Forex markets and how to read the markets that are going on from the investing perspective as well. So basically, we peel back all of the layers. I show you how to read a market, show you how to enter, show you how to exit, everything. This is coming really, really soon. And this is something that I've been working on for a long, long time. And I'm finally satisfied to have it done. But yeah, that will be coming real soon. So stay posted on all of my outlets. And that's that. Go out, live your life, do your shadow work, and don't be afraid of it. Because I'm telling you, when you come out on the other side, bro, you spiritually sound and shit. Like, yo, that shit is beautiful. It's fun as fuck because now you can live life. You live life. You don't just exist. All right. So with that being said, go kiss your babies, go drink some water and eat some vegetables and some fruit. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.